So guys, just a quick video. Chris Eubank, he's eager. I saw his interview. He's eager to fight Gennady Golovkin, and he also talked about a fight with Canelo. What do you guys make of Chris Eubank's comments? Chris Eubank feels that he wants to get the Gennady Golovkin fight made in 12 months, and he also said that he wants to fight Canelo, and he feels it could fill out a stadium here in the UK, and it'll be a big fight. To be honest with you, I think Eubank's got to prove himself. To be honest, I need to see him fight somebody with someone like an Andrade or someone like that and beat someone like that. The opponents that he's had of late, it's just not good enough. Personally, I think he's probably better off fighting Golovkin because Golovkin is on the slide. However, I don't think he beats Golovkin, whether it's now or in 12 months' time. I think Golovkin's jab is very, very good, and I think we all know that Chris Eubank he struggles with somebody with a good jab, somebody that's able to keep him at bay. Golovkin's still, for me, a much better boxer than Eubank. And Eubank likes to trade. Eubank likes to have a fight. So he liked Golovkin's style because he liked him to come to him. I've seen a lot of people say that they think that Eubank would outwork Golovkin. Boxing isn't all about a guy with fast hands, and Eubank isn't a better boxer. He's not fundamentally sound. Now, even with Roy Jones in his corner, I don't think I know Roy Jones is a great fighter, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to transform Eubank into being a fundamentally sound fighter. Eubank's got very slow feet. So although he's got fast hands, a guy like Golovkin, who's very experienced, who's very good, who's got a very good jab, and Eubank's defense isn't the greatest either. He gets caught a lot with shots. The thing is, Eubank's got a great chin, and I'll give him that. But when you go up against a guy like Golovkin, it doesn't matter how good your chin is, right? This guy's got serious power. And he's got the kind of power that he's going to hurt you or take your lights out if you're taking too many shots. There's not many guys in the game that can take Gennady Golovkin's power flush for 12 rounds if they're standing there with him. We know Golovkin's got a great chin, and Eubank's not a big puncher, so Golovkin's not going to be troubled. But Golovkin could put a dent in Eubank. He can definitely hurt him. So I think a lot of people that seem to think that, Eubank can outwork him and this, that, and the other, I don't think they realize that how good a boxer Gennady Golovkin is. I think people look at Golovkin as a wild guy, a guy that just comes forward and swings wildly. Like, I think you've got it mistaken. I think you've got it mistaken to how good Gennady Golovkin is. Gennady Golovkin is a guy with a very good jab. And he's got very educated feet, and he's got very aggressive feet, where he closes the ring off in a very educated fashion, and he blocks all your exits so you can't get out. It doesn't allow you to breathe, and then he's hitting you with these big shots, on the body, on the arm, on the face, wherever he can land it, and he's slowly zapping you of energy, and then eventually he takes you out. And to be honest with you, I don't see Eubank being able to beat Golovkin at all. Even at the fact that Golovkin's at the end of his career, and he's towards the last stages of his career. Even now, Golovkin for me is just too skilled. Like I said, boxing isn't all about fast hands. And when those fast hands are not accompanied by fast feet, you got a problem, because guys like Golovkin can get out of range and they hit you with shots. And Golovkin's gonna let Eubank come in and fight and throw those fast hands, because Golovkin will be able to. And here's the thing, Golovkin can back Eubank up, because Golovkin's a very big puncher. So Golovkin's not going to be worried by Eubank's power. And Golovkin's just going to keep coming forward. And there's no way Eubank can go 12 rounds with him taking that punch. I don't care how good his chin is. Golovkin will hurt him. Golovkin isn't George Groves. Golovkin is a lot stronger for me. And he's relentless, and he hasn't got a dodgy chin. His chin is granite, and he's relentless with his pressure. Even at this age, Golovkin is still very, very dangerous for any guy. Even for Canelo, I still think he gives Canelo a good fight, Golovkin. So if I think he gives Canelo a good fight, I definitely think he can beat Eubank and give any. I personally think he beats Andrade, who I think is better than Eubank, who I think is more skilled than Eubank, and I think he beats Andrade. I favor him to beat Charlo. That's how much I still rate Golovkin. The only guy that I think beats Golovkin is probably Canelo. Probably Canelo. That's it. Golovkin's a beast. In terms of Chris fighting Eubank, in terms of Chris fighting Canelo Alvarez. Do I think that's a big fight over here? I do think it is. I do think people would like to see Canelo fight in a stadium. But I don't think people would see that as a competitive fight. I think people would see that fight as a mismatch, if I'm honest with you. I think they'd see that as a fight which is very one-sided in Canelo's favor. I think Canelo, at this point in his career, I just think he's at the peak of his powers. And I think, as aware, Golovkin's on the slide, so it makes it a more interesting matchup, even though I'd favor Golovkin. This fight is against a guy in his prime who's so much more skilled than Eubank, who punches harder than Eubank, who's got better boxing IQ than Eubank, who's got fast hands as well. It's a different type of fast hands that Canelo has. He's so much more intelligent in the ring than Eubank, and I just don't see that being a competitive fight. In terms of him saying he's going to take Canelo's fire, no, I don't. I see Eubank's tough, and I think he could definitely tough it out. But the problem is, it's like when you're in there and someone's just beating you up, and that's what I think Canelo and Golovkin can do. There's only so much you can take, because Eubank is not the most fundamentally sound fighter, whereas guys like Canelo, Golovkin are. They're very skilled and very intelligent, and they've also been battle tested at the very highest level. They've fought each other twice. You know, they're very battle tested, and they've fought against guys with very high boxing IQs. Eubank hasn't. Eubank has fought Billy Joe and what's his name, George Groves, and he got beat by both of them. And then he's fought guys like Arthur Abraham, who were past their best. James DeGale passed his best. So really, when you think about it, Eubank hasn't really beaten any top-notch fighter in his prime, so to speak. So this is why I'm saying that I think I would want to see Eubank fight somebody before he fights someone like Canelo or even a Golovkin. I would like to see Eubank fight Billy Joe. I'd like to see Eubank fight Andrade or Charlo or someone like that before he gets in the ring. Now, Eubank's been linked with a Charlo fight. You know, he was with PBC working, you know, and then that fight was being talked about, and we thought that was going to be Eubank's next fight. But that fight fell through. And then the Golovkin fight, you know, that fight was going to happen, and then it seemed to me he lost his pen, and then Brooks got the fight, and now he's talking about the Canelo fight's never been mentioned. But I don't really think a lot of people would be interested in a Eubank Canelo fight, because I don't think it's, personally I wouldn't be, because I don't really think it's a competitive fight. You know, going off his recent, like, you know, his last performance against Morris, it's not, for me, it's not one that I'd be very excited about. You know, I'd be more excited about Golovkin, even though I still think Golovkin beats him. I just think that's a much more competitive matchup at this point than Canelo. Canelo's in his prime. He's too good. He's beating up guys that, you know, that are undefeated, that are very, very good, that are, you know, guys like Billy Joe. He just, you know, he didn't even get out of second gear, really. You know, Callum Smith didn't even get out of first gear. You know, Caleb Plant, let's see how he gets on with Caleb. But these are guys that I would favor to beat. Maybe Billy Joe, you know, I don't know right now. I don't know whether Billy Joe beats Eubank. The first time they fought was close. I think that's a good matchup, and I think that's the fight that should be made. And I think the winner of that fight then should potentially get a bigger fight at world level. That's what I think should happen. I think it makes sense for both to fight each other, Billy Joe and Eubank, to fight one another first before they go and fight at world level, just because I think it tells us where we're at. Like, I think Eubank after the Canelo defeat, after seeing, you know, Billy Joe lose to Canelo, Eubank wants that fight as well. Billy Joe's mentioned that he wants $5 million for the fight. I don't know whether that's, obviously when you negotiate, you normally go high. Maybe he's willing to come down a little bit, or maybe he's firm on $5 million. Who knows? Let's see. Let's see. I would love to see that fight, because I think the winner could have another push at world level, maybe a world title shot, you know, at 160. You know, Eubank is going to struggle. I personally think he's going to struggle to become a world champion, because his career's, like, you know, there was champions at 168, like Shifat Asufi, that he would have beaten. You know, there was, I know that Asufi wasn't a champion, but, you know, Billy Joe fought him for a vacant belt. You know, there was guys like, you know, Munguia, who maybe Eubank could have tested himself against. Oh, no, but that was at 154, Munguia was. But yeah, I think the current champions are a problem for him, to be honest with you. I think he could beat Murata, if I'm honest with you, but Murata's going to fight Golovkin. So, and I don't think he beats Golovkin. So, personally, I think Eubank and Billy Joe should fight one another. And then the winner of that fight potentially could say, okay, I want to fight Golovkin, I want to fight Canelo. And I don't think, most importantly, I don't think that Golovkin fight happens now, because I don't think would Golovkin be interested in a Eubank fight? Possibly, because it may be a big fight here in the UK. It might be a big money fight as well. And there's a bit of history there, because Eubank was supposed to fight him before Kell Brook fought him. So personally, I think there's a bit of history there, which, you know, could sell the fight a little bit. With the Canelo fight, although I think Canelo would sell and I don't personally think that's a competitive fight at this point. I think Golovkin is a much more competitive fight and a much more better matchup at this point. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.